everyone's looking for the young guy. They're looking for McVay. I think take a shot out Todd Bowles, get him a second shot at head coach, and see if he can do it.
I don't think they will. If they don't have Anthony Davis, I'm saying it right now. If Anthony Davis is out for the playoffs, they don't make it out of the first round.
It's crazy. And our kids will know how great Tom Brady is because he's going to be playing.
Yes, it is 15.0%.
That's what the Yankees brought Garrett Cole to do.
He was a 6th-round pick. This is a fairy tale story that's being written in front of our eyes.
People like to call them their JV team, and they just stole one of their better players.
They didn't struggle against the Padres. The Padres didn't really put up a fight in most of the games.
Jerry Jones, hope you're listening.
Hi, I'm Landon Bowe, and you're listening to Outsiders Opinions with Kevin and Austin.
What's up, y'all? Welcome to our NFL Opinions of the Week. The draft is over, and the man that has dealt with a lot of technology issues this week, at the start of the week we had Wi-Fi. Now, the place where we normally record down for some reason, and the man that has battled through it, Austin.
Kevin, they are really trying to stop us from continuing our streak, but we won't let that happen. We are going strong in the NBA, or NFL, not NBA. NFL draft is, the first round is over, and you and I were close. I think you said you ended with 9 points.
Yes, 9.
Okay, so I ended up winning 12-9. It was close. This is one of my better drafts in a while. I know 12 points doesn't seem like a lot, but any of you guys who think you could do better, I dare you to try, because I bet you guys some years could. I still remember that one year, Kevin. I think we got like 4 versus 3 or something like that.
Yeah, we got like 4. And for the people listening, we do 2 points is the max. Like, it is old time scoring. Like, it is not. There was one people that you and I both know, Austin. There was 3 points, and one included position, as we talked about. This one was pretty rough. Like, I got 1 point for Xavier Worthy. The max I could get is 2. So for the people listening, you can totally do it. It's 1 point for the right team, or right player to team, and 1 for right pick.
Yeah, for that player. So
yeah, for that player.
And yeah, I think the way we do it, I think is the most fair, because again, going position based, I feel like in some instances is just overkill. So this makes it much harder.
Yeah, so let's go through the draft. Not shocked at number 1. This was kind of consensus. Caleb Williams. I really like what the Bears did. Really like. We'll get to 9, but 2, Commanders get Jane Daniels. I don't know how I feel about these quarterbacks. I thought it was going to be Drake May. I don't have a preference for these quarterbacks. I'm surprised, given this quarterback draft, how many quarterbacks were taken in the first round, and all by pick 12, right? Because Bo Nix was the last quarterback off the board.
Yes, in the first round, yes.
So 5. No, 6.
Yeah, 6 of the first 12.
6 of the first 12 were quarterbacks.
NFL history.
Oh, what?
It's NFL history. The first time that 6 QBs were taken in the first 12 picks.
Wow. Like, how many were taken in the, 83 draft? Is that the John Elway, Dan Marino, Jim Kelly?
Yeah. I don't think that many were taken in the top 12, though. I feel like some of those guys couldn't have been taken high.
So that's my big, because the 1983 NFL draft, that's Hall of Famers. Oh, okay. This is the only other time 6 quarterbacks were taken in the entire first round came in 1983. That produced Hall of Famers John Elway, Jim Kelly, and Dan Marino. And then you got Ken O'Brien, Tony East, and Todd Blackledge. This is from U.S. News World. I want to say Dan Marino was like pick 20. Do you have any? Let me just pull it up.
I think, was he really 20?
I don't feel, maybe he was high. One of them was not.
I looked it up. Dan Marino's 27.
Okay. So there's that. And Jim Kelly was 14. So yeah, high Like that's half of the top first 12 picks were quarterbacks. And I'm not a big fan of this quarterback draft this year. Like you could argue Caleb Williams is a raw prospect and could not turn out well. It's just given his situation, I'd be shocked. But yeah, so Gene Daniels and Drake May were the following picks. These teams are gonna have to do well to protect these quarterbacks because of their rawness. Like it's not a surefire pick like Joe Burrow. Even what I thought was a surefire pick was Trevor Lawrence. He struggled given his situation, so it's not a certain thing with these quarterbacks.
Yeah, I think that's a good take. QBs aren't always an easy home run, so I feel like we can move on to 4. This is always going to be Marvin Harrison Jr.
Yeah, and it's a good pick. Like really talented wide receiver, used to the NFL through his dad, and I like what the Cardinals are doing. And then I don't think we have spent much time here. 5 Chargers. We're a pro offensive line podcast, as I texted you, as you listeners know. I don't hate the pick. Like you have Rashawn Slater, who's dealt with injuries, and you also have Joe Alt. You've locked down your tackles.
Yeah, and this is who I predicted them to get, and like you said, we are pro offensive line. I love this pick.
And I know you may Chargers do need wide receiver, but there's a lot of good wide receivers left in this second round.
Oh,
as
100%.
we're recording. Yeah.
Especially for them to get in the top 5 picks, because that's when their pick is at 5th. So they still have it's really quick when they pick next. So they definitely have a lot of time to pick up a really great wide receiver.
So yeah, we're recording before the draft starts, and this of course is being posted after. So things could change, but I don't hate getting the best offensive lineman, as I'm pretty sure. I don't know if he was in mine, but I think a lot of people are like, this is the best offensive lineman in the draft, and Notre Dame's great at producing linemen.
Yeah, I saw somebody compare him to Joe Thomas, and while I maybe think that's overkill, I definitely think he's the best offensive lineman in this draft.
Yeah, and then the Giants get Malik Neighbors, a really good wide receiver, and it may be Daniel Jones, could be Drew Lock, could be a different quarterback. Getting a wide receiver in a team that we struggled naming their wide receiver, which I believe is another pick you predicted, correct?
Yeah, it was Darius Slayton.
Yeah,
wait. I see what you're saying now. Yes, yeah, I picked Neighbors to the Giants. It makes sense. I like Slayton. I like Sterling Shepard when he's healthy, but they really do lack. I like Wan'Dale Robinson as well, but they just lack wide receivers. And then at 7, this is where I had JJ McCarthy, but the Titans don't end up trading back, and they take JC Latham, who I did have them taking at 11 anyway. So they just, I think, went with not necessarily best available, but who they thought they were going to take no matter what, even if they traded or not.
Yes, and I believe Latham, is he left tackle or right tackle? Or
I think he's right tackle.
Okay, that works, because I believe they already have a left tackle. I think they took a left tackle last year.
Skoronski.
Oh, Skoronski, yes. So I like it, especially with Will Levis. We're talking about Will Levis. I wasn't a huge fan. I don't know how I feel about him now, but offensive line is going to help. It's also going to help their running game, which has struggled. I think. Or there was something like yards of contact that was their stat. Then we got number 8, which we are doing a video on. I was super high on Penix. I'll say that. So I don't hate taking Penix, but there's a deeper issue with the quarterback room in Atlanta. I think I'll talk more about it in the video.
Yeah, I like Michael Penix as well. And yeah, you guys will just have to check out the next video. That'll be posted tomorrow as we're recording this. So we'll get into more in depth. That pick, I think, was divisive enough and weird enough for us to do our own video on it. So we can just go to 9.
Yeah, I would probably add 15 minutes to this video. We're currently at 9 right now, so it could have been like a 45-minute video depending on that. So 15 minutes. So I like it. It's a deep conversation. I'm looking forward for y'all to listen to that. And now we'll go to 9, which is where a pick I had, Roma Dunze, going to the Bears. Are they stacking up on wide receiver when they could have gone O-line, yes, or defense? I still like it because Keenan Allen deals with injuries. And this also provides a really nice opportunity for Odunze, who I know you're really high on him, Austin. This is a guy that can learn from Keenan Allen. And just look, this might... I don't like to go hyperbole, but what's... Like, this has got to be in the conversation for best wide receiver rooms, right?
Oh, yeah,
I think
100%.
number one is probably Dolphins, but...
Ooh, you think it's Dolphins?
Well, you got Hill and Waddle.
What about Texans with Nico Collins just had over
good
1,000
point.
yards, and Tank Dell, who almost had 1,000 yards if he didn't
Yeah.
get hurt, and now Stephon.
Yeah. So I think they're in the conversation. I won't say they're the best, but what a wide receiver room that this went from last year when it was just DJ Moore.
Darnell
What were you gonna
Mooney.
say? Darnell Mooney. Yeah, that was the second. So yeah, this is huge. And we've talked about situation. I think that's one of the biggest things for quarterback. I think we've talked about this in a quarterback episode. Situation.
Yeah.
This is great for Caleb Williams, and it gives him a guy to grow with.
Yeah, I don't hate the pick. I would have rather went defense because their defense is not good right now, at least besides Jalen Johnson, who's, I think, the best corner in the NFL. But besides that, I would have liked to see them go Jared Verse or Dallas Turner here. Probably Dallas Turner because I had Turner going to the Falcons, but he was still on the board, so I would have gone Turner here. But I don't hate the pick. And then at 10.
10. JJ McCarthy, good move by the Jets to move back and get some picks from the Vikings. I was talking. Some people I was watching the draft with are really high on JJ McCarthy, and they're like, he didn't have to throw. It's a good situation. I just don't see the upside in taking McCarthy. Like, is he going to be a top 10 worthy player?
Well, this is the biggest wait and see player for me because I don't really know. I know a lot of people are really high and a lot of people are really low on him. I don't know. Let's just wait and see. I guess they needed to take a QB, and at that point it was between him and Bo Nix. So I don't hate the pick in that regard because I do like JJ McCarthy more than Bo Nix, but that's not necessarily. Yeah. I'm not saying the most by saying that.
Yeah, and as a draft, it does fill a need of QB. So there's that.
It's far from the worst pick.
Yeah, you could have waited, but maybe they're not. So it fills a need. That's all I think I can say. And if it turns out well, it turns out well. I just really don't see the upside. So that's at 10. 11, Jets getting an offensive tackle. Could he also go guard, Fashanu? I don't think you're big.
Fashanu, I think, is a. Oh wait, yeah. He can. I believe he's probably going to move there.
Okay, which isn't bad, and it could be a guy that if Tyron Smith is battling, kind of sort of like Tyler Smith, what the Cowboys have.
Yeah. Because Fashanu is so raw right now that he really could be put anywhere. He's just big, physical, fast, athletic, everything for a lineman. He's just really raw, though, and not the best blocker. So I definitely think he will move to guard.
Okay. And so good O-line for the Jets as with Rodgers. Broncos, I'm not surprised they went quarterback. I'm surprised that they still went quarterback with all the other quarterbacks taken because now you have Bo Nix. And Bo Nix is older. I just don't... I'll say the same thing. Maybe with JJ McCarthy, he wins. I know Bo Nix put a lot of stats up at Oregon. I just don't see the upside to an NFL quarterback in taking a guy this high when he can maybe be a good quarterback. To me, good quarterback doesn't really go like, I need to take him in the top 15 picks. That is like, if we're talking about our quarterback rankings, this is a guy that I think can be, I'm taking a guy that can be in the top 15, top 10 a lot. That's the vision I see, and I don't see Jay McCarthy or Bo Nix fitting that mold.
Yeah, I kept on thinking, why didn't they trade back? And maybe they were worried that the Raiders were to take a QB, but I don't really, or maybe even the Saints take a QB and wait, put him behind Carr. But I think they could have traded back and still got him. While I will say it could have been a worse pick still, but I do think they could have got draft capital. I think they could have traded back to 18, 20, and still got Bo Nix.
Yeah, or maybe go wide receiver.
Yeah,
Like there are other needs on this.
it's
team.
the weirdest QB room I've ever seen. Jared Stidham, Zach Wilson, and Bo Nix is not
Yeah.
a QB room I would have expected heading into last year.
Yes, I think that's a great way to say it, and definitely a competition. I think I can see scenarios where maybe all three of those guys start at least one game this year.
That's a great prediction, Kevin. I'd be very interested to see if that is the case.
You know, we'll mark it because I feel pretty confident in that. Like we'll see all those three guys. There could be injuries too, which could play into it, so it's not too risky of a prediction. But
Yeah,
I think we see all those guys play, which just goes to the craziness with the Broncos. Next, this one I was like, oh, Brock Bowers to the Raiders. That's good. And then I forgot. Maybe they did this too. Michael Mayer was drafted to the Raiders last year. So could have gone somewhere else, in my opinion.
yeah. I don't hate it though because I think Brock Bowers is that good of a tight end, and having two good tight ends is a luxury. So I don't think it's killer. Brock Bowers is so physical, but he can run so well. And because he can run like a wide receiver, you could play him in that Kelsey slot as a tight end size though. So I don't hate it. If it was just a really good standard tight end like another Michael Mayer, I would have not liked it more. But even though Bowers can block, unlike Kelsey can, but Bowers can also play in the slot. Like very few tight ends truly can. He's that good of a just pure receiver that he could. So I don't hate it. I think they went with best available in their. I think they thought Brock Bowers was just that good, and if they do, then I'm fine with the pick.
Yeah, and it could turn out well. I like the idea of adding a weapon. It's just I forgot. I'm like, okay, you already drafted tight end, so
They're different.
we'll just
though.
have to
They're,
see.
They're
But
just
it
two
is,
different tight ends.
yeah, yeah, and it does give a good situation for maybe they're just bad this year and they get the number one overall pick and get a quarterback then. But we'll just have to see. Next is Saints going tackle. They did lose Ryan Ramczyk 2 years ago. They took a young tackle, and Fuaga. So I'm gonna probably say, is this guy gonna move to guard? Because we've seen guys that were taken at tackle and moved to guard. I think even Zach Martin played a little bit of tackle in college.
Yeah, maybe. But I really do think that when teams go a line, it almost always. I mean, you could always pick the wrong player, but if we're just going based on position, it's very rare that you're making a wrong choice positionally.
Yeah, and it sometimes may take longer for these guys to develop. So like Andrew Thomas, I think had a terrible, or there's one Giants line, but there's a difference between first round linemen and other linemen. It takes time to develop, even though there are some great linemen that have not been drafted in the first round. Like a lot of the Packers offensive line, I think, is not in the first round, right? Or
Yeah, most of them.
so you can do that, but it just goes like I'm going to take some of this lineman, and this is a really good O lineman draft. To contrast it to the quarterback, this is a really good time. So I don't hate it. I like the Colts at 15 going edge, Latu, because you add DeForest Buckner, and they're a team that may want to build on the defense, and of course you can get wide receiver later in the draft.
Yeah, they didn't need to go wide receiver here because of the talent that they already have there. I wanted them to go defense, and they did. I would have rather see them go corner, go Quinion Mitchell or Terry Arnold, but I'm fine with them going edge.
Now 16, I should have expected this. And this does help because I believe they have struggled in the run game. The Seahawks go Byron Murphy, defensive tackle. He's just a big dude. We've talked about his size. And he's a guy that can really clog up the middle and help with their run game, as I think they still struggled with it again this year.
Yeah, they did. They also had I would like to see them go online, but if you're going to address a big need like defensive line, then I'm totally fine with that.
And then the Vikings trade up again and get Dallas Turner.
Love this pick.
What?
I love this pick.
Okay. Here's my thinking, and it's just, I don't know what the plan, well, maybe I do know.
Well, I mean, they lost Daniel Hunter to the Texans, right?
Okay, yeah.
So, and they trade up to a player that I had in my top 8, and he's at 17. I think he's the best defensive player in the draft. It's my first one taken.
Okay.
I love the pick. I don't hate trading up at all. Even if they give up more picks, I think Dallas Turner is that good.
Yeah. Yeah, I was talking with someone, I was like, man, Latu's wrong. They're like, no, dude, he's polished. And I'm not, like, hating on the dude. I just don't know defensive
Dallas
linemen
Turner.
that well.
Dallas Turner ran a 4.46 40, Kevin. How many D ends or edge rushers run a 4.46? Along with him being extremely talented and went to Bama, so you know he was coached right. He can guard. You can drop him back and guard tight ends, and he's fast enough that he can guard probably just big wide receivers in the slot too. 4.46 speed is no joke. If you're just guarding a slot route, a little slant or anything, you could do that. He just seems the most versatile. Look, this is going to sound crazy, and I'm not saying he will be, but he reminds me of Micah Parsons. And it's just for the fact that he seems positionally he can move around a lot. And that's what I thought made Micah Parsons so valuable, more than just his talent as a rusher, is that you could move Micah Parsons into almost any position in football, and he would excel. I feel like Dallas Turner could do that.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I don't really know a lot about defensive ends, but I was thinking, is this a Parsons? So you said Turner ran a 4.46, right?
Yeah.
Parsons at the 2021 Combine ran 4.39 40-yard dash. So
yeah, both of those are extremely fast for edge rushers. I think they're very comparable. I think obviously I don't think it's a very high bar to say that Dallas Turner.
Yeah, it's a very high bar.
But
and
I do think he could be
Parsons,
that type of. I think he could be that type of player.
And that's a great pick. I thought Parsons was just going to be a great middle linebacker. It was a good need. It was a good best available pick. My thing about the Vikings, which maybe I figured it out as thinking through it, does this mean they don't want a retooling the year? They're trying to compete now. I think that's what these two trades mean because they were aggressive in trading up.
I agree they want to keep Justin Jefferson, but even if they are bad this year, I think Justin Jefferson still sees that there is a future, and they are building towards it. Because I don't know how good Dallas Turner will be this year or how good J.J. McCarthy will be this year, but I definitely think that the year after next, they could be even better. They're growing, and maybe they're not going to do a full rebuild, but maybe this was the rebuild.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking because to me, I'm like, okay, maybe they're sitting back. No, they seem to know what they want, and it's a different approach than I think I would take, but I'm not hating on it. It's just I'm seeing, okay, maybe they're really aggressive and they're like, okay, we need a quarterback now. They feel like J.J. McCarthy's going to do that. Also, we need a defensive end. You brought up Daniel Hunter, and their defense has been lacking, so we're going to go get this guy, Dallas Turner, seeing him fall, too.
Yeah, I think it also just could be, and I don't care what team I am, what situation I am, if I think that Dallas Turner or a player like that is that good, if I think that he's that much different than the rest of the pool, I'm trading up no matter what. Because you know that that player you're getting is someone that you really, really like. And you can't have too many young players. If you're fully in on a player and you're like, how is this guy still available? I thought we weren't going to be able to get him. Again, I had McCarthy going 7 and Dallas Turner going 8. They got him at 10 and 17. So it's great value for where I thought those players were going to go.
Yeah, and I like Jacksonville trading back, and it makes sense why they traded above Bengals given the Trey Hendrickson video that we talked about in that issue. Because they may have thought Bengals are going to. But, let's just take a moment, Austin. Way to go, Bengals.
We've been doing this podcast for a while, Kevin, and they finally addressed O-line. I never thought I'd see the day.
Yes, I think I mentioned them in the draft needs. You know, they could go O-line, but I didn't go O-line because they don't seem to care about that. Amarius Mims, I think he can play right tackle or left tackle, but they have Orlando Brown, I think it could opt out this year, so this gives him some flexibility, but also for both tackle positions, which really helps him, and that's what you need. And so, way to go, Bengals. Yeah, way to go. Good little clap. I hope that can be heard over the mic. So there we go. I don't think we need to spend much time on it.
Nope.
And then Rams going defensive end, edge, not bad. This is the first, I think, Rams first round pick in our podcast history.
It is. Bengals taking a lineman and then Rams actually having a pick. Unbelievable.
Mm-hmm. And then Steelers going offensive line, Troy Fatanu. I think it was Jeff Schwartz. He said he's a big O-lineman guy, and I trust his O-line. Like, because he did play offensive line, I trust his picks or his analysis a lot. He said we can maybe see Fatanu. He wouldn't be shocked if Fatanu plays center for the Steelers.
That's why I had them going Jackson Powers Johnson in my mock draft. But I could see that. I do think Fatano's good, and he's a good interior O-line.
Yeah, and then Dolphins go Chop Robinson. They need defensive line help. They lost a lot of defensive linemen, and we can see, we just talked about Penn State. Micah Parsons, he wasn't an edge there, but it's not a bad pick.
Yeah, I agree. You can't go wrong with position need.
And then Eagles need secondary. I think you brought this up in needs. So the Eagles, man, as much as I hate them, they do a great job at just seeing needs, seeing players falling, or just hitting on their picks. So, or just making the right pick at that moment. They may not turn out well, but it's a good, like, you come out of draft night and you're like, man, the Eagles had a great draft.
Yeah, it's pretty common.
So, nothing there. Jacksonville, they traded down and they still end up with Brian Thomas Jr., the wide receiver from LSU. I forget they have Christian Kirk. This is a good need pick, and it's a good value pick too because they kept trading down. I wouldn't have hated if they went wide receiver for where they were at normally, but they took advantage of the Vikings making a play and wanting to go up, and this is a good move. I like it.
Yeah, I do as well. It makes sense them going wide receiver, so I like the pick.
And then we have Lions. This is another move. I liked, actually, this may be the best move the Cowboys made in the whole offseason. Trading down. The Lions, I don't hate going corner. The Cowboys got an extra third-round pick. I just hope they don't waste it. We'll see what happens in the second round. But a good move overall for the Cowboys. And if the Lions are a team that's aggressive too, they're like, if you want to get your guy, they're going to go get your guy. So that's it. That's what I was thinking. And they may have wanted to get above the Packers and take a corner.
Yeah, I do think that the Packers did want to go secondary, but I do like this pick. It's saying it's the best move for the Cowboys this offseason. It's not a high bar, Kevin, since they have not made many moves at all.
Yeah.
But I do like this pick.
Yeah, and then I'll let you talk about your Packers pick.
Yeah, I would have gathered Nate Wiggins. I told you that, or Tyler Nubin, the safety out of Minnesota. But I'm fine going O-line. I know that there was a Packers fan that you were just talking about this, and he did not like it as much. He hated it, but I'm fine with it. Again, as a pro O-lineman podcast, if you really like an O-lineman and you want to take him, it's not that hard to convince me.
Yeah. I actually heard people at the gym talking about this too. They were like, I wasn't talking to them. I overheard them. They're like, man, dude, like, I know he's from like Arizona and like they got that. And like, you know, Morgan's a good lineman, but I really wanted Cooper DeJean. And I'm like, this is hilarious. I just overheard this. I'm like, dude, this is funny. So
Yeah.
a lot of Packers fans wanted Cooper DeJean or a corner. But yeah, I don't hate it, especially with Jordan Love. You're going to have to pay him. I think, did you bring this up? Maybe I heard someone talking about this. Maybe it was actually one of the people on ESPN, but I don't hate it.
Yeah, I don't hate it.
I had him going Tyler Guyton. So, and then I forgot. I believe a Bucks center retired recently, or interior lineman.
Yeah, it
Who
was
is he?
Ryan Jansen.
Ryan Jansen. So getting Graham Barton, who I think people were high on as an interior lineman,
He'll play
I
center.
don't hate it.
Yeah, he'll play center.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
this was the last pick I got fully correct. Graham Barton to the Bucks. I thought it made sense, and so I think it makes sense now.
And then the Cardinals go Darius Robinson. He's a guy that really skyrocketed based on his senior in the Senior Bowl. I like this pick for the Cardinals. Getting a good defensive end. I think Robinson can play well, and they're just hitting on. They're making the right moves. They get Marvin Harrison, and then you also go defense as well. This was a team last year that just had a lot of holes, and they're really taking their time just getting the right picks that they need.
Yeah, I think they definitely aced this draft. I like both of their picks. I had him going Latu here, but he obviously was on the board, so going Darius Robinson, best available. I like it.
Yeah, and then the Chiefs go Xavier Worthy, which is I get 1 point. They trade up for it with Buffalo. We'll talk about Buffalo. We can cover this here, so that's why we're not doing a whole video on it. We may do an extended video if, depending on what they do with the first pick in the second round, because I don't understand Buffalo, because they sent a 4th-round pick to Kansas City, got a 3rd-round pick, and then they moved down. So if you're Buffalo, why are you letting your rival take a wide receiver? Because you may not, now you know they took a wide receiver, but thinking, oh, the Chiefs want to trade up, they're probably going to take a wide receiver.
I'm surprised they answered the phone.
Yeah, I'm surprised they answered. That's a great way. But I don't hate, there was a Chiefs fan. He was not a huge fan of Worthy. Then he's changed his opinion now. He's like, okay. I like the speed of Worthy. Like, you can see it in the video. I took a video. It was pretty funny because
Yeah.
I sent him my prediction, and he's like, I will not be happy with you if they take Worthy. Then he's like, new Tyreek Hill, which a lot of people are saying that. I think he's a good speed guy, and I think he can go deep, which is something, and it gives him a long-term option for Hollywood Brown, who's just on a 1-year deal. And I'll let you talk more about this.
Yeah, I definitely think it makes sense. How do you think this impacts, like, the moves they're going to make? Yeah. Like, are they going to make more moves now, or is this it? Because of the Rice. Well, we don't know what's going to happen with Rice.
Yeah, I don't know. And I think maybe Rice misses this year, but I don't think he gets kicked out.
Rice is not a Worthy. They're not the same player. One is a possession-based, one is a over-the-top threat. So I think this gets rid of, like, a guy like MVS, Marcus Valdez.
And Kadarius Toney. Yeah, I believe MVS got cut, right? Or no?
I don't remember. But either way, I think that that's where Xavier Worthy's job will be, is going to be taking his. So I don't know if that necessarily addresses the Rashee Rice part, because they're not the same wide receiver.
Yeah. This is, I think, this expands the room and helps fill the room. But I wouldn't hate if they went in the second round. Maybe second round, I think they can go corner because there are a lot of good corners left. But 3rd round, take another wide receiver. I don't hate adding another wide receiver, especially with Rashee Rice. But also, that room was bad last year. Like, Rashee Rice took time to develop. They relied on Kelsey. I don't think you can expect the same amount of production from Kelsey as he continues to age. That's not a smart move for a team that wants to compete again. So I think Worthy fixed the mistakes of Sky Moore and Kadarius Toney. I think that gives the option. So it just adds to the room. It doesn't harm them by taking another wide receiver. I like the speed, and he's a big speed guy, so we'll have to see, but I like the pick for the Chiefs, especially with that was the worst wide receivers Mahomes has played with. I'm excited to see what they do, and that's all I got. Do you got anything else before we move on?
No, we can move on.
Yeah, I wouldn't have hated if the Cowboys traded back again, but the only thing that makes me not really like this Cowboys is if you're gonna say you're all in, you're going to say this, which is, I was talking to my brother, and he's like, they do this every year. I'm like, yeah, it's true. It's a good pick. Getting Tyler Guyton, getting draft capital, you solve the issue that you created by losing Tyron Smith. You have a tackle.
And
Tyler Biotish.
yeah.
But they still need to solve that, which I think they can. It's going to happen. They're going to trade up. They're going to use the extra draft capital they got and trade for trade up to draft Jonathan Brooks, which they do. Do they need a running back? Yes. My only problem is you gain draft capital and you've created so many holes on your roster. You need more picks to fill those needs. That's my problem with the Cowboys. But as a pick, taking Tyler Guyton at a tackle with this value is good.
Yeah, it's fine. I don't think it's a bad pick.
Yeah. Just don't use the extra third-round pick to move up for Jonathan Brooks. I would be cool moving up and taking Jackson Powers.
Okay.
If he falls. Because you need a center. And, like, Dak is not that type of quarterback where he has a bad line in front of him and still produce.
Yeah.
Then Ravens going corner. I don't hate it.
I feel like they may have a
fan.
lot of good secondary pieces.
Yeah.
So I did feel like it's a little bit of overkill, but I love Nate Wiggins as a player, so they may have just went best available. Again, I had Nate Wiggins going at 25, so I do.
And then,
I do find it to be good.
Okay. Yeah, and then I wouldn't have hated. We'll talk about this. I don't really get Adonai Mitchell falling. I thought people were high on him. Yeah, like the Chiefs fan wanted Adonai Mitchell. Maybe something's up. And this one, so this is where the next two picks are both wide receivers. I don't know what's up with Adonai Mitchell. I texted you that last night. Ricky Pearsall to the Niners. I just don't get that.
It's the one thing that one of my friends said. I was talking to about it was maybe the Ayuk discussion. I mean, we talked about it a little bit. The Ayuk's maybe not the happiest. Maybe that's a little bit worse than we think it is. Maybe they don't know if they're going to be able to keep him happy for the long term, and they wanted to address that immediately.
Yeah, I don't hate going wide receiver here because of the Ayuk situation. My problem is, if you're taking wide receiver, why isn't Adonai Mitchell the wide receiver you're taking?
I don't know. I don't know. I don't think Ricky Pearsall's a bad pick. It's just they like him more, obviously.
Okay. Yeah, that's my thinking. And same with the Panthers. Going wide receiver. We both agree they need a wide receiver.
Yeah.
It's just...
I would have got
why?
Sorry to interrupt, but I just want to say this first. I would have got a point if they had taken Ladd McConkey, who I'd go ahead and 32 to the Chiefs, or if they'd taken Adonai Mitchell, because I had the Panthers trading up into my first round and taking him at 30. But, yeah, why did they not take Adonai? They must have liked Xavier Legette more.
Yeah, so that's it. Overall, I think we're all positive about this, except the Falcons, which, it would have been a 45-minute video at least, as we're kind of touching around 40 minutes with the intro and outro of this podcast. So listen to that. That's coming out tomorrow. But overall, we'll see how this picks go. I wouldn't be shocked if a lot of these guys didn't turn out well. It just seemed like a very wild draft and it's this player, this player, this player. It was like, okay, here are top wide receivers. Don't really know what else. But I'll toss this over to you to close out with your thoughts and end the episode.
Yeah, thank you guys for listening. Please let us know what your best mock draft pick was, and let us know which one of the worst was ours. But please catch you on our next video.